There are over 1,500 weapon finishes in Counter-Strike. One of them, equipped by no one. 1,500 skins. Millions of players every day log in, load their inventories, and pick the guns they want to use. But not all skins are created equal. So somewhere in that laundry list of skins, buried deep in the files, there lay a skin that fell through the cracks. Not necessarily unpopular, not necessarily rare, but just sort of forgotten. A skin that was once new, once designed, once approved, and now lost to time. And we are going to find that skin. Now, every good investigation starts by ruling people out. Now, before we start eyeing down suspects, we need rules, some sort of method to our madness. We're not going to do float values. We're not doing souvenirs. That's cheating. I'm talking about skins in a vacuum. The ones you scroll past every day when you're on the community market. Because if we're going to find this ghost, we got to define what this ghost looks like. Now, every good investigation starts by ruling out people. So let's kill the obvious suspects. Meta weapon. AK. M4. Both. AWP. Glock. These guns transcend rank. They transcend playstyle. Everybody uses these. And if you've bought a skin, you've bought one of these. Since people have such a wide range in budgets, it can be safely assumed that every skin in this category is being used on a person right now. We also have the starter pistol. Everyone wants the gun that they're guaranteed every round to look good, so we can rule those out as well. But the P2000, sort of the bastard brother of the USP, so it could be a contender, and we can look for that as a suspect down the road. So you may be thinking, okay, Negev, P90. Those are joke guns, right? No one uses those. And you're right, but that's the exact reason why people buy skins for them, for the bit. So ironically, those two are out as well. So applying to that same logic to all the guns in Counter-Strike, we have a few prime suspects left. The dualies. Only good on pistol round, and you have to buy it on pistol round, which nobody does. The R8 revolver. This gun might as well not be in the game, but it does have a clear problem. It doesn't have very many skins to begin with, and the skins that it does have doesn't quite match our criteria, as I'm going to show later. So the odds of having one dead skin are lower than you might think. The M249. The M249 might be the least used gun in Counter-Strike. It's extremely expensive, bad, and unlike the Negev, people don't even find it funny when you use it. But this very well could be our guy. The same thing applies to the G3SG1, or the auto on the T side. The auto that nobody uses. The Scar 20 does enjoy some popularity on the CT side, so we can rule that one out. And for shotguns, the sawed-off. A genuinely horrific weapon. Could definitely have a skin rotting in obscurity. We also might want to investigate the P250. It used to be an eco king, but it has since been nerfed, and not many people use it anymore. In the same vein, the CZ75. Now this has the same problem as the R8. There aren't too many skins, but it's still worth investigating. Now here's where most people get it wrong, and also where the case gets interesting. As far as our description goes, we can rule out high tier skins. And that's because collectors exist. People buy expensive skins just to have them, just so their loadout could be complete. So even if no one's using the M2, the super expensive ones are still going to be bought up, and it's definitely going to be equipped. We can also rule out case skins. People open way too many cases, and when you unbox something, even something that's ugly, you throw it on. Why not? It's yours for the next 7 days anyway. But here's the part where it gets tricky. We also have to eliminate low tier skins. Yeah, the cheap ones, the ugly drops, the ones that you get every Tuesday. Think about it. These guns barely get used. So if you get a random light blue out of a weekly drop, for the sawed-off, let's say, you're just going to equip it. It's not like I'm going out of my way to buy a skin. I'm just going to use the one that I have. So it needs to be in the middle. Not too expensive, not too cheap, just right. We got to find our Goldilocks skin. So we need to be mid-tier, and we need to be from a collection. But there's one more filter we have to go through, one that I almost missed. Trade-up contracts. See, certain collections are very valuable. The Gods and Monsters collection, that trades up to an Alt Medusa. The Rising Sun collection has the AK Hydroponic. People are going to have these low-tier skins in their inventory, specifically to gamble on trade-ups. Before you do that trade-up, though, you might very well equip that skin, which means that even the worst skins in a valuable collection are still worth something, due to kind of artificial demand. So our guy isn't going to be in any of those collections. It needs to be from a collection where the higher tier skins are worthless, where nobody's feeding the machine and lowering the supply of all the lesser tier skins. It needs to be a dead collection, with dead skins that feed into nothing. So what does Goldilocks look like now? Collection skin, not from a case. Mid-tier pricing. Not too high, not too low, just right. And it needs to be from a collection with no trade-up value. And it can't be from an active drop collection. Because if it's dropping in inventories of people who play right now, there's a much larger pool of players who can use this skin. The older collections, a lot of these skins are trapped, sitting in accounts that have been banned, trade banned, accounts that have been dormant for years, dead. We're not looking for an unpopular skin, looking for a forgotten skin. So I ran the filters, cross-referenced every single collection, every price point, and I narrowed it down to 3. 3 prime suspects, all of which fit the profile perfectly. Let me introduce you to our finalists. Suspect 1, the M249 Blizzard Marbleized. An M249 from the Office collection. An inactive collection, right? Hasn't been dropped in years. It's a light blue skin, so it has mid-tier pricing as it can trade up to the MP7 whiteout, but the float cap on the MP7 whiteout makes it basically impossible to trade up to, so this skin sits in trade-up purgatory. And a bonus, it's on the M249. Worst fucking gun in the game. Now this was my original prime suspect. I thought I had my guy, but there were 2 more. Second, the sawed-off Mosaico. Now this one's from the Alpha collection, which is also dead. Also a light blue, and also sits in that same price range. It's a terrible weapon, it's only on the T side, and it's almost never bought unless you're playing in a silver 1 match with your boys. The finish itself, not as bad as the others, but pretty drab, not particularly eye-catching. You would forget the name if you weren't holding it in your hands. So we have our second strong contender here. And finally, the G3S G1 Arctic Camo. Another entry here from the Office collection. The same pool as the first prime suspect. This one's not just unused, it's fucking hated. Like there's an unspoken gentleman's agreement not to use this gun in game. And the auto is a bad choice on T side as opposed to the Scar 20, which at least makes sense in some situations. And it's just a white fucking camo. A shitty camo on a shitty weapon from a shitty collection. So we have ourselves another contender. 3 suspects, but there can only be 1. So I pulled the numbers, and I pulled the sales from the past year on all 3 of the guns. Now Valve doesn't give us explicit information, so our tiebreaker here is going to be sales. Even though I know it may not be indicative, we are just going to name a winner. But in reality, all 3 of these motherfucking skins are losers. In 3rd place, the sawed-off Mosaico. 395 sales in the last year. So roughly 1 per day. 395 people out of the tens of millions that said, yeah, alright, I'll take that one. Not great, just barely scooted off of 1st place. That's because the sales were so incredibly similar across these 3 skins. 1 person could have made a difference in this showdown. In 2nd place, 393 sales. The M249 Blizzard Marbleized. 2 fewer than the sawed-off. My original suspect, and it came very close. But it's clear as the G3S G1 Arctic Camo only had 384 sales, so 11 purchase difference between these 3 skins. Now you might be saying that's a decent volume of these skins being bought, but they're not used. And even then, in a game with over 1 million concurrent players at most times of the day, these skins are faring horribly. A weapon nobody uses, a skin nobody uses, in a collection that nobody remembers, and at a price point which no one can justify to buy it at. The Arctic Camo is not rare, it's not particularly valuable, and it's just good looking enough to not be ironically used. It's just nothing. And that's exactly why it won. So the least used skin in Counter-Strike isn't some mythical contraband worth $1 million. It's not locked behind a $10,000 paywall, because everyone who owns one of those uses it. It's merely a $4 camo on an auto sniper that gets you kicked from your games, hiding in plain sight. Now, is there someone watching this right now that has that skin equipped? Probably. But statistically, this is as close as we can get to a ghost being in the system. A skin that exists, technically, but it may as well not. 12 years old. It's older than most of the people who play Valorant. But now you know it exists. And at least it's good at being the worst. But you'll probably forget it by tomorrow, just like everyone else did.